Hi, I'm Vik Toreus. This is my behind the EP for my latest project, Reincarnation. Reincarnation is my first ever South Asian inspired EP. It's a collection of remixes and remakes of my favorite South Asian records, Bollywood, Punjabi, all with a world music and ethnic influence, which is what I'm really into. Reincarnation is more than just a bunch of mashups and bootlegs. These are remixes and complete reworks of my favorite Indian tracks, which I love to DJ out live. For me, world music is a really important part of my career and what I'm into. I really enjoy blending in different sounds and genres from different parts of the world, different continents and cultures, all into the music that I enjoy, South Asian and ethnic music. So I'll combine Bollywood Punjabi music with Latino, Arabic, Chinese, Korean, African, Afro beats, bachata, hip hop, European electronic dance music, French, Moroccan, the list goes on and on. I love mixing in sounds and rhythms from different cultures all into one. I think the reason why I've been so much into blending in different styles of world music is because of my experience traveling. I've traveled to all those destinations. I've been to different parties and festivals around the world in these countries, and I've seen how people are enjoying their local music, and that's really kind of inspired me to include some of those elements in this EP, Reincarnation. So all that experience was actually the basis of my radio show, United Colours, which I host and present every week on Roxavity Radio via the Dash Radio platform, and I've been doing that for 3 years. And the music which I discovered and explored and that I was sent to really inspired me to make these remixes and thereafter this body of work, Reincarnation. So let's get into it. Pichkari Funk is a remix of one of my favorite all-time Bollywood records, Balam and Pichkari from Ye Divani Hai Divani. It's a staple in my DJ sets. It's fun, vibrant, uplifting, and it's a big Holly track as well. I've done a Brazilian Baile funk remix of Balam Pichkari, and it features a vocalist who I discovered on Instagram, funnily enough, GORIYA from India. I randomly stumbled across her and I thought she had a beautiful, clean voice. I love the tone of her voice. I reached out to her and she was excited to be featured on this remix and to cover Balam Pichkari for me. So I'm really happy that she's on the record, and it's someone I definitely want to be working with in future as well. Baile funk originates from Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, specifically the favelas in Brazil. It's very raw, percussive, tribalistic, and it has that kind of signature cha sort of vocal chops over the drum pattern, which I've always found is really cool. But I remember going to Brazil about 6-7 years ago and hearing Baile funk and all the locals just dance crazy to this insane genre, and I could see that this was going to be much bigger on an international scale over the coming years, and that's exactly what happened. Now we're hearing Baile funk tracks in the charts as well as in the South Asian scene as well as the hip-hop Indian scene as well. So in Pichkari Funk, I wanted there to be a hook which was so iconic to the remix and consistent throughout. So as soon as you hear it, you'll know exactly what the remix is about and what's coming up. So we've got this clarinet sample, which I chopped up, manipulated, and did tons of processing on. And that, I feel, is the catchiest part of the remix. Also, if you continue listening to the remix, later on I switch up the Baile funk drum pattern into more of a 4-to-the-floor house type of drum pattern, which really takes the remix to another level and adds more energy to the track when you're listening to it. So that's one of my favorite parts of the remix. GORIYA is an up-tempo Afro dub pop style of record which is a remix of 3 different 90s Hindi Bollywood tracks all into one. Kind of like a medley and a remix put together. So we've got Husn and Husana, Ankamare, and Ankiyon Se Goli Mari. So these are some of my favorite 90s Bollywood records. If you know me, you know that I love my 90s Bollywood music. I collaborated with a singer from the US who goes by the name of Simantini Roy. We connected on SoundBetter, which is like a musician's directory platform. And we went through a few ideas. We bounced a few stems back and forth. And it was actually her idea to put together this medley. Originally, I suggested Husn and Husana, and she came back with the idea of having 3 songs all into one. And that became the basis of the remix. So the main component of this remix, I feel, is really the guitars. So the guitar riff is actually 3 different riffs, which I've played myself on the guitar and layered them on top. I've also chopped them up and done quite a bit of processing on as well. The inspiration came from Craig David 7 Days, funnily enough, which is one of my all-time favorite R&B records. I think it's such an iconic record. As soon as you hear Mark Hill's guitars, you know exactly what's coming up. But the way that Mark Hill did Craig David 7 Days is he played the guitar and he separated out 3 different parts and laid them on top of each other. And that was really the inspiration for the guitar stem for GORIYA. There's one part which I actually reversed just to make it a little bit more interesting and add some more spice to the remix. But the way it's put together, I really think it sounds very vibrant and tropical. And that's the feel that I wanted to go with this particular remix. It's a very danceable remix. It's fun, it's uplifting. And actually the majority of music which I produce and the majority of remixes that I make are really for the dance floor. You know, I like to make music that's very danceable because at heart, I am a DJ and I enjoy making music which is fun and is exciting for the dance floor. So the majority of music I make is very danceable, I like to think. Choli. So Choli is one of my favorite remixes to play out live in a DJ set. It's an Afro House remix. So Afro House is one of the coolest electronic genres which I've really been dabbling. You hear it at the coolest festivals and parties around the world, especially at places like Tulum, Mexico, Ibiza, Mykonos, as well as Africa, of course. That's where the main inspiration comes from. So I produce an Afro House beat and I wanted to include an Indian sample. So I was experimenting with old school Hindi tracks and I came across Choli Ke Peeche from the movie Khalnaik, which is again another 90s Bollywood movie. Like I said before, I'm a big 90s Bollywood fan. And what I've done is I've actually included the original Choli Ke Peeche in the remix. But what's interesting about this remix is that I also sampled a cover version of Choli Ke Peeche by an artist who goes by the name of Tricity Vogue. So she's a UK swing artist, non-Asian, and she did a cover of Choli Ke Peeche. It was a really interesting cover because it's quite folky, tribalistic, almost hauntly, but she did it with so much passion and it was just such an interesting remix to hear. So in my remix, I sampled her cover as well as the original Choli Ke Peeche. And I thought the two just worked really well together and added more depth to the remix. So when you hear that remix, the build and then the drop, it's really going to get some heads turning on the dance floor. Well, I hope anyway. So I wanted one of the remixes to have a modern funk feel to it, but at the same time also incorporate some deep lo-fi elements to it as well, because I'm really into lo-fi music as well. So Jura is a remix of Jura Ke Dil Mera, of course, which is again another one of my most favorite Bollywood records of all time. It's such a classic romantic record from the movie Main Kalari Tu Anari. I remember when this movie came out, I was such a huge fan of it, and I was a big fan of Akshay Kumar growing up. Still am a big fan of Akshay Kumar. So Jura Dil Mera is a big Bollywood record that many people know, and I've sampled it into this disco pop record, which is really funky and groovy. And I remember playing it at a DJ set a couple of weeks ago, and lots of people were shazamming it as well, which is really nice to see. You know you're doing something right when people are shazamming your music and your remixes. There's quite a few layers to this remix. We've got the marimba, the saxophone, we've got the violins as well, quite a few pads as well. So lots of different layers with this particular remix, but it ended up being pretty groovy, and I liked it. And finally, Answer, which is a remix of Mickey Singh Phone. So this is probably the most melodic remix of the entire project. It's almost like a piano orchestral ballad, which I composed and wrote all myself in F minor. And once I had completed the instrumental, I was planning to release it just as an original Vik Toreus record. But then I started to experiment and throw in a few vocals, and I found a good quality a cappella of Mickey Singh's Phone, and I dropped that over the instrumental, and I thought, actually, this kind of works. I mean, it's a bit strange, but actually I thought it works pretty well. So I just left it as it is. So there you have it. It's a Candlelight remix of Mickey Singh Phone. And I really feel something when I listen to this particular remix. As I said, it's probably the most melodic one out of all of them in Reincarnation. So that was behind the EP for my latest release, Reincarnation. Hope you enjoyed it. It's out everywhere, so please do check it out, download, and let me know what you think. 5 remixes of my favorite South Asian records, all inspired by world music and ethnic fusion. It's a project that I've been working on over the past year, and I'm so excited to finally finish and release it for you all. So all that's left is for you to listen, download. If you're a DJ, hope you get a chance to play it out and have fun. I'll see you soon.